Greetings, friend. David Marks here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to dig into the mobile camera controls that are now available inside of the Lightroom for Mobile app on Android and iOS devices. Before I switch over to my iPad Pro, let me remind you that to get the most out of the Lightroom Mobile app, you need an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription. If you're not an Adobe Creative Cloud subscriber, then you might not be able to use all of the features that I'm going to demonstrate in today's tutorial. In addition, some of the mobile app features that I'm going to highlight today are device dependent. If you're using an Android device or an older generation iPhone, then you might not be able to find a few of the features that I'm going to talk about in this tutorial, but you should have most of them. With that said, let me switch over to my iPad so I can show you some amazing advances in our mobile image capture technology. So here I am inside Lightroom for Mobile version 2.8 on my iPad. In a recent tutorial, I talked about how easy it is to sync images like these that I shot with my DSLR camera into this app. And in another recent tutorial, I talked about how to import images like these hummingbird photos that I shot using the native camera app that's built into my iPad. Well, today, I want to talk about some of the amazing technology that's available inside of Lightroom for Mobile's camera app instead. I'm going to tap on the camera icon down here to launch this feature. If this is the first time that you've ever activated the camera within Lightroom for Mobile, you might need to give the app some permissions. But after that, what you see on your screen should look pretty similar to what you are seeing on mine at this point. Let me highlight some of the options that we have on the screen right now, starting with this symbol in the top left. This little camera symbol up here with a circular looking arrow on it is the toggle that switches between the forward-facing and backward-facing cameras on this device. If I were shooting selfies, for example, then switching which camera is active would be a great idea. But since selfies, fortunately, are not what I'm after today, I'll leave this one alone. Working our way down is the JPEG DNG file format switch. I'm going to tap here and set this one to record DNG, which are RAW files. RAW files are always a better starting point for our digital captures. If your phone or tablet will support DNG capture, RAW capture, then I urge you to switch this one over to DNG. Next on the sidebar here are our flash controls. A tap here will open up another flyout menu where I can set the flash to off. The auto in here represents auto flash mode, where the app decides when it should or shouldn't use the flash for you. I'll come back to these three little dots, which is the option menu icon up here, in a moment. But for now, let me switch your attention over to the right side of the screen. At the top of the right-hand sidebar are the Shoot Through Presets option. If I tap here, then another set of squares will appear. Each of these squares represents a post-processing look that Lightroom can create for you. This top one, for example, is the black and white flat preset. The next one down is the high contrast black and white option. What's so cool here is that Lightroom for Mobile is able to show you what an image shot with one of these presets will look like after the photo has been captured and imported into your Lightroom catalog. Now, there are lots of mobile photo apps out there with a black and white preset, for example. This preset functionality is not unique to Lightroom, but what is unique is that all of these presets are non-destructive. Just like develop module presets, the ones that we're used to using in the traditional Lightroom for desktop, nothing in here is permanent. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to tap here on the big round camera trigger button to capture this scene using the high contrast black and white preset. Next, I'm going to tap on this little X to return to Lightroom for Mobile's main screen. To see the image that I just captured, I'm going to tap here on this icon beside the words Lightroom Photos, and then here to choose this image. Now we are into the image editing mode, the develop module, if you will, for this app. So now, let's say that I have changed my mind and that I'm wishing that I had captured this snapshot without that black and white look. No problem. Just like in Lightroom for desktop, all that I have to do is to tap on the word reset and then tap on the Reset All option. The point that I'm trying to make is that working with these shoot-through presets can be really fun, and that unlike with other camera apps, everything about your new image remains flexible regardless of which file format you choose to use for your initial captures. I'm going to tap on the back arrow to bring us back to the grid view, and then again to bring us back to Lightroom Mobile's home screen. I'll tap on the camera icon again to return to capture mode. At this point, let's say that I no longer want to use this high contrast black and white shoot-through preset. No problem. To turn this preset off, all I have to do is to tap on the presets icon again, and then tap on the bottom square, which is the None option. Now, let me shift your attention back over to these three little dots on the other side of the screen. Those dots are a Lightroom Mobile symbol for more options. When I tap here, another set of icons appears. This set of icons gives us access to additional features and controls for the camera. If I tap on the gear, another flyout menu will appear. In this menu, one of the options that I really like is the max screen brightness control. I like to keep this one turned on so that I can better see my screen, especially if I'm out shooting in bright sunlight. Also, I find that it gives me a better sense of what the camera can and can't see as far as shadow detail. I like to keep the second option in here, the geotag photos choice, turned on too, so that the images that I shoot with this app automatically include the device's longitude and latitude at the time of capture. With this active, the images that I'm shooting right now will automatically appear in roughly the right location when I get back home and open them up in the map module in Lightroom for desktop. I find geotagging really helpful as an organizational tool. It's one of my favorite features of Lightroom for landscape photographers. But if you have privacy concerns, or you don't want this kind of information in your file's metadata, then feel free to turn it off. I'm going to leave the last option here alone for now, since it only applies to the camera app's HDR capture mode, and that's the subject of another tutorial. Working my way back over the icons list, on the left, there's a little pyramid. This one is a live overexposure warning. Right now, this awesome feature is only available on the iOS version of this app, but I'm sure that it will be available soon for you Android users as well. Once I turn this one on, you might see a shimmering zebra stripe pattern over part of the scene. That's an overexposure warning. I'll demo this further in just a minute, but for now, let me say that having a live highlight clipping indicator is a great blessing when shooting with a mobile device. I'm going to tap here again to turn this one off for now. Next on the icon list are our grid and level overlay options. In this menu, you will find overlays for halves, thirds, and the golden spiral ratio. These are composition guidelines only, and those overlays will not show up on any images that you capture. Personally, I like the thirds overlay the most, but what you choose in here, or if you choose one of these at all, is purely personal preference. I'm going to tap on the None symbol to disable these overlays, and then I'm going to activate the last one, which is the bubble level overlay. I think this one is really neat and super handy when I'm shooting landscapes or architectural images where I want a nice level horizon. If I were to tilt the iPad from side to side or up and down right now, you would see how our horizon indicator and that little bubble level changes. Again, I'll turn this one off for the demo, but it's an option that I leave active most of the time. The options that appear with a tap on the stopwatch looking icon here are easy to understand. These are all self-timer options. These controls are probably not all that useful if you're hand-holding your mobile device, but they are a great help if you want the sharpest possible shot and your device is mounted on a tripod or resting on something secure. I'm going to activate the 2-second self-timer option for this demo. Finally, at the bottom is a list of the aspect ratio choices. I don't have any reason to change things in here right now, since 4:3 is the native aspect ratio for this iPad's camera. But there are times when shooting at a different ratio, like the square 1:1 format, can be quite useful. So now, let's say that I want to capture the very best image that I can create from this scene. To do that, I'm going to tap again on the pyramid, which is the live highlights clipping indicator, to re-enable that feature. Next, I'm going to tap one finger against the screen to roughly control where the iPad meters and focuses. Watch how when I tap on this black cloth here, how the exposure changes. See those zebra stripes? If I asked the camera to meter the black cloth, then all of that area would be blown out paper white. Obviously, the gray cloth here is a much better choice for the camera to meter. So I'll tap there to change the focus and metering around again. I need to point out that we aren't working with a DSLR style 1% spot meter here. So don't expect the results from a single tap on a gray card or something that you're metering to be perfect. Now I'm going to tap on the padlock symbol on the right, the second icon down from the top, to lock the exposure again so that I can tap anywhere else in this screen to change the focus without changing the metering. By locking down the exposure, I'm preventing the app from metering again and again as I shift the focus around. With my focus set here and the 2-second self-timer enabled to prevent camera shake, I can tap here on the trigger button to capture a nice, sharp image. One more trick. Let's say at this point that I intentionally want a brighter or darker image. Well, with the exposure button unlocked, all I have to do is to set my focus, and then I can swipe one finger up or down on the screen to adjust the exposure. When I brighten up the exposure, you'll see how again the zebra stripes appear. Well, in this case, I don't really want that area blown out, so I'll swipe down until most of those zebra stripes disappear. I'll tap the trigger again to shoot another image. At this point, we have covered all of the basic features of the Lightroom for Mobile camera app. I'm not going there in this tutorial, but let me mention that there are 2 more capture modes in here and lots more controls. To finish things off today, I'm going to tap on the X in the bottom left to return to the app's home screen. Those advanced controls and what happens to the images that we just captured when I get back home to my desktop Lightroom catalog will have to wait for our next tutorial. If you've not given Lightroom for Mobile's camera app a try yet, I urge you to check it out, and I'll see you in our next tutorial.